Meanwhile, people in New York have hit the streets in opposition to the U.S. airstrikes in Syria.
Does anyone here really think that that bombing yesterday had anything to do with protecting lives in Syria? No! No. Everyone here knows this is another war based on lies. Is standing for your own.
The protesters chanted slogans against President Donald Trump's controversial order. They showed their support for the Syrian people. The demonstrators also expressed their resentment against Washington's warmongering policy towards the Arab nation. Anti-war demonstrations have been planned for 50 cities across the U.S. Meanwhile, Londoners held a similar rally to vent their anger against Trump's order to launch missiles on a government airbase in central Syria.
Firstly, we're here to condemn the action that's been taken by President Trump last night. It's the worst thing that could possibly happen for Syrians in this ongoing war since 2011. This is unilateral military action taken, which is both illegal and hasn't been independently verified.
The rally was organized by the Stop the War coalition. The demonstrators also expressed their anger at the British government for backing military strike on Syria. In Bolivia, people gathered in front of the U.S. Embassy in La Paz to condemn the attack. They described Trump as killer and stressed that they would stand by the Syrian people by any means. Now, for more on this story, we go live to California to talk to John Parker, International Action Center from Hands Off Syria, who joins us live over the phone from there. Mr. Parker, thank you so much for being with us. Talking of the protests taking place by the American people, do you think this is a sign that the American people are waking up and not anymore buying into the claims by their leaders that some countries need to be attacked because, for instance, they have chemical weapons?
You know, more and more people are questioning of the ability of people to have social media and get other sources of news besides repeat lies over and over again. It's harder and harder for them to get away with fake lies, and especially with this President Trump, who is not trusted at all, not respected at all. It's the reason why most of the imperialist wars start with democratic presidents, because those presidents can get away with it easier. But many people were like, as we're seeing nationwide protests, very large, the International Action Center and United National Action Coalition are having nationwide protests today and tomorrow. And we're seeing a lot of folks coming out and questioning that we don't know what. We need money for education. Unfortunately, I went to
Okay, I'm afraid, Mr. Parker, we have to end our conversation here because I'm afraid the voice quality was not good. Let's go live to the U.S. city of New York, where, as you can see, people are still out there on the streets. Protesters have gathered, as you heard earlier, to voice their opposition and anger over the yesterday's missile attack carried out by the U.S. military against an airbase in Syria.
April 22nd. The March for Science. Donald Trump is attacking science. Without science, you can't understand the world. On April 29th, March for Climate. We need to save the planet.
what you're watching, a reminder that what you're watching right now are live pictures of street protests in the U.S. city of New York. Of course, New York was not the only American city where people gathered to show their opposition and anger to the U.S. airstrikes in Syria. We're talking about yesterday's missile strikes. Some 50 or 60 cruise missiles fired at an airfield in Syria, causing fatalities and casualties even among civilians. People have been gathering in several cities across the U.S. Anti-war demonstrations have been planned for 50 cities across the United States. Similar rallies in opposition to warmongering policies against Syria have been also held in the British capital, London. Londoners have also taken to the streets to voice their anger against Trump's order to launch missiles on an airbase in Syria.